a good feeling about the acting industry, and curiosity is how they're going to do this, and that was quite an experience because everything is like stop and go, because if someone gets sick, the whole thing gets shut down, and then you have to hit the reset button. And I got to experience all of that because
wow.
The film I was in, the lead, I was going up to Liverpool, New York, and then I was there, and then the lead got sick, or one of the leads got sick. So then we all go home, and it's kind of like shut down. And then he was better, and then we all came back, to Liverpool, New York, and this time we were able to shoot it, but there's, as you can imagine, like there's so many protocols. You get tested as soon as you arrive at the hotel, and you do the PCR test, and you do the rapid test when you're on the set. And then you get a certain, like color stick if you're allowed to be on the set. Then you're carrying that, and it's quite a sterile laboratory kind of environment, but they're getting it done.
Wow, a stick.
There's like, those, like you go to like raves, and there's the glowy sticks, the necklaces. I felt like, like we had these little glow, like Green was like, this guy's he's a go. Green,
oh, okay.
He's allowed to be on the set. He's passed the PCR test, the rapid test. He's good to go. And then they had different color sticks, and I didn't, I was basically just looking for Green so I could be on film.
Working at events since 2005, I've always been inspired by people coming together to share ideas. I'm Mandy Younger, and I'll be your host on Happy Hour, where I share a drink and a laugh with guests over stories and our hope for the future of the live event experience. Today, I'm speaking with Nimo Gandhi, TV and film actor, writer, producer. He does it all. He's a really good friend of mine. I like him. Thank you to Seedlip as we enjoy their Grove 42, a sophisticated, bright citrus blend of Mediterranean orange, lemon peel, lemongrass, and ginger with a dry finish. It's what to drink when you're not drinking. Also, thank you to Cheeky Cocktails for their fresh ingredients. Today, we use their agave syrup and lime juice. It's starting to run low on their syrup, so I might need to get another order. Be sure to check out their products online and use the code HAPPYHOUR for a special discount. Special thank you to Loxamana Media. You create, we capture. Be sure to continue the conversation with us online at eventspeak.com. Subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify and iHeartRadio, and favorite us on Stitcher to get all upcoming episodes and help others find our show. Be sure to comment below. We love as much feedback as possible in our early stages. And a promotional giveaway is on. A lucky listener will be randomly picked from our followers on Facebook and Instagram at Happy Hour AY. It looks like Happy Hooray, but it's not. It's Happy Hour AY. Together, we can make the difference in live events. Welcome back to Happy Hour. I'm your host, Amanda Younger, and I'm here with a great friend of mine I can't wait for you to meet. But before I go further, today for Happy Hour, it's dry January, so I'm having a fantastic Seedlip margarita, and that's going to be 2 ounces of the Seedlip Grove 42, and then I also did 1 tablespoon of the Cheeky agave syrup, a half an ounce of the Cheeky freshly squeezed lime juice. I didn't garnish it with salt. Let's not get too crazy because I want to get back to our guest. So everyone, please meet Nimo. Tell everyone who you are, what you do, and what you're drinking for happy hour.
All right. I am Nimo Gandhi, and I'm an actor and singer-songwriter. I am drinking, and I'm going to plug Astoria, Queens.
Oh.
This is Lagouche. It is Greek lemonade. And I'm drinking it for the first time.
Ooh, first time drinker. I like it. All right. Cheers. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. It's very good.
Queens, you say?
Queens, Astoria, Queens.
Man. Well, we actually met. Well, wait. Let's talk about that drink.
Yeah.
This is the first time you've had it. Where's it in Queens?
That's a great question. So there is a bakery called Astoria Bakery on 45th Street and Ditmars Boulevard from 1964. So up until 2019, it was the same owner, the same kind of old school Greek setup.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of, sort of. And so coming into 2020, there was a new owner, and they were like refurbishing the place and changing the image of it. And then coronavirus hit. And so, every time we walk by the place, we're like, oh my God, these guys were going to start their business. And then COVID, they're screwed. They opened in April anyway.
Oh.
So these guys, very authentic, like desserts and coffees and lagouche. And anyway, it ended up being our spot, like
nice.
a local spot. So it's called Astoria Bakery. It's on the corner of 45th and Ditmars, and it's great.
Wow.
We support them.
So, wow, that's amazing. Okay, so new restaurant and stuck with it, and they're still doing things to go and curbside pickup. And so, all right, this looks nice. And how does it taste? Do you like it?
It's amazing. The desserts are amazing. I mean, their business is suffering because they do cakes for parties and stuff, and that's not happening. But like when you go in there and get a coffee and one of their chocolate desserts, it's amazing. So I'm plugging.
Okay, well, that's a free plug, and
that's a plug right there.
And that's called, it's authentic and genuine, and that's what we're all about.
I love it. Cheers.
Cheers. We actually met in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, over at the C Flat Gallery, which I think a mutual friend of ours kind of lived and ran. And
Mandy.
Mandy Kelso. And you actually, you've done numerous performances there as well, I believe, right?
Yeah, I met Mandy like 2011 or so, and we just randomly met at a bodega and started talking like at 7:30 in the morning. She was on the way to work and I was getting a sandwich, and we just had an immediate connection. And she's like, why don't you come over to my art gallery? It's like literally above this place. And that's how we got to know each other. And within days, she had found out I'm a musician, and she's like, why don't you come over? I'm having an art workshop. And I'm like, great. And she goes, bring your guitar. So I go over.
Okay.
This
isn't an odd ask. Got it.
I didn't ask any details. I just showed up. And so I get there and I'm kind of early, and she's like, I want you to kind of post yourself up in the perch. It's like 2 levels.
Yeah.
The C flat. And she's like, just when everyone gets here, just start doing your thing. Just play your songs and it'll be great. So it turns out it's a nude modeling art night. So, they're painting nude models, and I'm like trying to figure out how I add and serve the environment. So she just threw me into it, and it was amazing. Like it was one of the funnest nights I've ever had, and that was Mandy.
I mean, never one to step into the pool. You must jump and leap and dive into the pool. It's not just an art workshop. That's new mottos today. So please set the mood with your guitar.
Yeah.
Were they more like slow ballads? I feel like.
Yeah, we went from 4/4 rock and roll to 6/8 rock ballad very quickly. We shifted.
Here to warm up the crowd. Nope, gonna warm everyone down. Sorry, we're gonna cool everything down.
Dim those lights down, dim the music down.
My bad. I brought the wrong sheets. Okay, got it. Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of living in New York. There's always a place, and a gathering of friends kind of anywhere kind of makes it into an event, I feel.
Totally. And that time frame, what I always tell friends, like all the time I've been in New York, that street and that part of Greenpoint where the C flat was, there was an energy at that time that was just like conducive to collaboration, and the C flat was, to me, it was like the center of all of that. So I had formed so many collaborations just from meeting Mandy and all of you. I mean, we had late nights on that rooftop.
Yeah, we did.
I can remember that. So those were, I miss those days. That was a lot of fun.
Movie nights and disco dances and sushi rolling. The wedding was there. We had art workshops, so much more. I know my favorite memory of of us at the C flat. Well, at the C flat in general. Actually, yes, it was wish lanterns off the rooftop.
I remember that.
And we were all like, ooh. And I think we had 2 or 3 that time. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just one. I just know that one almost clipped my head because when it was released, it was like a gust of wind just like knocked it down. And I had to duck. I felt a little matrix and then it hit a tree and then just dove straight into the street. And I think a car like ran over it. We were like, oh my God. Oh no, no more wishes. No more wishes. That's a bad wish. That's
a bad wish.
That was a wish denied. Don't do that one. Who did that wish?
That was a wish gone wrong.
Yes.
I didn't know that was you that went by. I remember that event. I had no idea that clipped you.
Yeah. Yeah. It started with me and then the tree and then the ground where we were like, that's going to cause a scene. That's going to be a problem.
Right there on Manhattan Avenue.
And that's, a night in Brooklyn.
just another night on campus.
I don't think anybody on the sidewalk, even there was like zero kerfuffle. Like they were like, okay.
Nothing wrong.
No one is shocked or odd. And do you have,
there is one that tops that, more on the sentimental side.
Okay.
So Mandy and Robbie, around the time of their engagement, I had a friend, Tom, we would do kind of duo sets in the area, and we did a rendition of Bruce Springsteen's If I Should Fall Behind. And Mandy would listen, and she's like, I love that. I want you to play it at our engagement party. So you guys were all there, and we had kind of, so we played it as my band, and we did it in kind of my style, and we played it, and she loved it, and it was just a great moment, because it was they were dancing for their engagement party, and we were playing the song that they both loved. So, and it was turned into a music video, actually.
Do you have any other favorite live performances that you've done outside of the C flat?
Yeah, actually, I toured around the same time frame, and I played in my hometown. We toured from Burlington, Vermont to Chicago, stopping at various places along the way, in Pennsylvania, and then eventually Ohio, and then Indiana. And I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And
I was about to say, you're from Indiana, right?
Yeah. And so my mom and some high school friends just like gathered up all these people I hadn't seen in 20 years. And they came to a coffee shop, like a tiny coffee shop. We had booked the venue as just a one-night stop. And this place is just packed with people that that I've known, people from my childhood, from high school, friends from college. It was just, so that was like, that's definitely one of my favorite nights performing. Nice. And it was on tour, which made it even, better.
Yeah, and of course everyone was like, I know that guy.
Yeah,
like, everybody knows me.
I know that dude. He's from Greenpoint, that wild radical place in Brooklyn.
That's right.
I've seen that dude.
Well, as a singer-songwriter, of course, during the current pandemic, it's kind of restricted those live musical performances. How have you kept up with your Gandhi fans?
That is a good question. So I have had a resurgence of creativity that kind of, maybe, I don't know, when you talk to other people, if you're hearing kind of a silver lining. I'm a bit of a homebody anyway. And not that I would ever wish this upon anyone, but in a way, once I got my head to clear by April, May, I was interacting with different friends that had started this writers group. And there was a guy, Kent Coran, he's a friend of mine, and he's a writer. He's a real writer. And so he's like, hey, Nimo, you're creative. Why don't you join us every Sunday at 4:00? And we just bring something. It could be a poem. It could be some part of a script you wrote, or you could bring a song. And so I started doing this like in May, every Sunday. And it would force me to write something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't performing, obviously. And every week I would bring something. And it turned out like after doing about 8 weeks of this, I had work. Like I had a spoken word poem I'd written. And one of the people in the group's like, you should turn that into an animation video after I read it. So I did. And so for Gandhi, you know, my singer-songwriter body of work, all of a sudden in the summer, I'm adding stuff. I did a animation music video for an old song. I released this spoken word piece called Indiana June as an animation video. And then it just got me connected with some other people who do like Instagram live charity events.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know, maybe you've heard of that.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, another friend of mine named Tom Marin. He did one for the Innocence Project.
Oh, nice.
And my wife and I had been watching all these documentaries, you know, and all these people that were wrongfully jailed. And so it just struck a chord. And he's like, hey, come on. It's for a good cause.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, we'd love to have you play 2 or 3 songs. And I did it. And it was great. It was I'd never done Instagram live. And here it was. And it felt great, you know, to be part of something contributing to something I believe in.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure that everyone hears more about the Innocence Project.
So basically the summer was like a resurgence of me actually doing work as a songwriter, you know, in kind of a different way than ever before, but with acting, you know, just kind of on hold for most of 2020. I felt blessed that I was able to, I'm actually putting out an EP in February of 4 new songs.
Surprise, new stuff.
I just feel like a chatty Cathy right now.
It's okay. That's a good thing. It's kind of, I mean, if you weren't talking, that this would be very boring.
It would. Did you ever watch like MTV, like the bands would come on and they would be interviewed, like in the 90s, they would do these MTV interviews with these rock stars. And I've been watching some of these recent, there are epic periods of awkwardness because the MTV person's trying to engage, this young punk rocker, and there's nothing. And it's really hilarious, you know?
I think there's a surprising amount of introverted musicians that write a lot, and then until they're on stage, that it's its own persona. And once they get off that stage, that persona goes away and they go back to that introvert writer.
Absolutely.
That's not you.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's interesting.
What's amazing is that while you were writing, you were still connecting with other creators, and they were like, hey, you can make this and produce it into something else, like different content. And so that's pretty cool to hear, because I don't think I've heard that yet, that during that reset, while everyone's writing, you're kind of performing to each other and sparking each other's inspiration and stuff like that, and making new things. This is really fun.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think what I learned from them, that group of 5 writers, is that they're just very open. First of all, they're open to sharing. And then secondly, they're open with that. People want to give to them and throw out ideas, and it's almost like there are no bad ideas, and it's just a real something I've never really experienced. I mean, most of the projects I've done is one-on-one working with a producer, architecting 7 songs, and then hiring the band and putting all of that together. But it's almost like having too much control. Whereas with this writers collective, you just go in and you don't know. It's like improv. You have no idea how they're going to receive what you did, and you don't know how you're going to respond to what they did. But inevitably, like every session, something valuable would come out for someone, and probably for everyone. It was one of the most needed and amazing things I've ever been involved in. And I have all this work now that came out of it. So, I just feel, and we're supposed to start again soon. I just really feel blessed that my friend Kent invited me,
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah. Along with your music skills, you're also a pretty active actor in television and film. And I know I was a fan of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and you were a good portion of an episode, and I was like, ah, I know him.
I love your reactions.
Look at you go.
We should have taken your reactions and rolled that in the credits.
I should.
That should have been in the credits.
Well, if anyone's interested in seeing Nemo with his pants off, watch Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. I love that plug.
Always have Pittsburgh.
You nailed it. Yeah.
Anyways, that was my favorite. But you've done a lot of roles and independent films, mass-produced ones, I believe, as well. So out of all of these characters, which one has been your favorite?
I love that character for getting to work with Carol Kane and Ellie Kemper. Like, the people I was working with and the freedom they gave me to do those crazy things is that from a comedic standpoint, from just having fun on the set and having the stakes be high, and but being available for it to play was the best. My favorite role, which I feel like was kind of very important to know, that stereotypes may be in my mind, but they're not necessarily always at play. I was a speechwriter for the mayor in a new TV series called Tommy on CBS. Edie Falco is the lead. And so the character I'm playing in Tommy could be a white guy, black guy, a Mexican guy, an Indian guy. It's just so, it was almost one of the first times where I went in for an audition and I was going in as just me. It wasn't like with an accent or the Kimmy Schmidt was like, he's a tech guy. There are a lot of Indian tech guys, but so Tommy was the most recent TV show. And I felt like for me, that was great. It was a comedic moment in a dramatic series. And I could feel like I was kind of stepping outside of my ethnicity within the industry, so that was really fulfilling that way.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Especially because, well, you're from Indiana.
Yes, I was born in Indiana. Come on.
It doesn't get any more Midwestern American than that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, right over there in the trailer park.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask this. Did you have to work on creating an Indian accent for a lot of the acting roles? Yeah.
When I was at William Esper Studio on my first year training there, we were dabbling around with accents and things and just trying to discover our own voice. And it came out. I think the only thing I could connect it to was, as a kid, I think I kind of remember making fun of my uncles coming from India, like mimicking their voices because it sounded funny. I mean, you're growing up in middle America and you hear this guy and he's welcome to, this kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it.
As a kid, you're just like eating that up. So I think it was always there, but it was a matter of working on making it authentic, so, yeah, I've had to do that a lot as an actor,
Oh, actually, what makes you more excited to play? Has it been these dramatic roles or these comedic roles?
So my manager once many years ago asked me, like, what actor do you connect with, like, from a career standpoint? Where do you want to see yourself? And I've always loved Bob Odenkirk because basically his work, and I've seen him in so many different things.
Yeah.
He's very funny. He's just a funny guy. He used to write for SNL, right? So he was writing for SNL. He would write like bits for Chris Farley.
No way.
Some of the most fantastic Chris Farley SNL skits. If you peel it back, it's Bob Odenkirk who's writing those. Yeah. So fast forward when Odenkirk decided to become more of an, focus more on acting. What I began to recognize is this guy, you basically just put him in water and that fish will swim. You put him in any medium, drama, comedy, dark feature film, a big Hollywood, but his comedy will come, his personality and his comedic sensibility and his personality will just, it'll play through. And I've always admired his work and loved to have that opportunity maybe to work in that way, whether it's comedy or drama, just to be able to, bring my authentic self, and hopefully it's funny and unique.
I love
grounded.
it. And I always see you as a happy, funny guy. So that's that I feel like that's a natural part of your being that would come out in any form,
Yeah. Even an axe murderer, I probably could do that. Very happy-go-lucky, just like,
which would be even more creepy. By the way, if anyone's listening who's an agent or like a producer or something,
Chainsaw Massacre 17.
Even more creepy if he is having the time of his life.
Picking flowers.
Slashing people and having a blast. Woo! Yeah!
We should write that.
I'll be on Joker 2. Anyhow. Well, with the current pandemic rising and falling, of course, spiking again, new restrictions in the filming and the current freeze on movie premieres have been all over the place in New York. You said it's kind of been on hold for you?
Yeah, for the most part, I would say like March through August. I mean, there would be an audition every now and then, but it was like casting directors wanting to see new talent that they've never seen work before. And then in August, all of a sudden, September, really, all the auditions started coming because LA and New York opened up again. They were, very few shows, and then I got a role actually in a Hulu movie. So that shot in Liverpool, New York in November. So I actually worked during the second half of the year. I was in a SAG Hulu film. And so, it was nice. It was like the second half of the year, I was getting auditions, and you do them from home or at a coach's place with taping. And anyway, I booked that role, and it was like, wow, I had kind of a good feeling about the acting industry, and curiosity is how they're going to do this, and that was quite an experience because everything is like stop and go, because if someone gets sick, the whole thing gets shut down, and then you have to hit the reset button. And I got to experience all of that because the film I was in, the lead, I was going up to Liverpool, New York, and then I was there, and then the lead got sick, or one of the leads got sick. So then we all go home, and it's kind of like shut down. And then he was better. And then we all came back, to Liverpool, New York. And this time we were able to shoot it, but there's, as you can imagine, like there's so many protocols. You get tested as soon as you arrive at the hotel, and you do the PCR test, and you do the rapid test when you're on the set. And then you get a certain, like color stick if you're allowed to be on the set. Then you're carrying that, and it's quite a sterile laboratory kind of environment, but they're getting it done,
Wow, a stick. You get
there's like, those, like you go to like raves, and there's the glowy sticks, the necklaces. I felt like, like we had these little glow, like green was like, this guy's he's a go. Green, he's allowed to be on the set. He's passed the PCR test, the rapid test. He's good to go. And then they had different color sticks, and I didn't, I was basically just looking for green so I could be on film.
I know as the capacity allowances are changing for indoor venues and reopenings are starting back up again, what do you think the trends are going to be for local musicians like yourself?
I think maybe we interacted on this, or I've talked to a few people. There is talk of making New York more of an outdoor situation, like in Astoria on Ditmars in the summer. It was quite a cafe European style kind of setting. I mean, they blocked the streets off, so you had no traffic on Fridays and Saturdays. It was like teed up to be like a singer-songwriter's haven, if those restaurants allowed for outdoor performances. I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat, if that's where it goes. I'll tell you what, this Instagram live thing blew me away, because I was like, for a guy like me who's got to really be attentive to auditions and like being ready the next day, I can't so much be playing until 3 a.m.
Right.
down on the Lower East Side. And then, so it, from a pragmatic standpoint, when coronavirus happened and this Instagram Live thing happened and Facebook Live, I was like, my God, it's like,
Yeah.
holy smokes, like I could almost like do both at the same time, acting and be able to play from home and, keep putting music out and music videos and stuff. So that's how I'm thinking of it. But I think there's definitely going to be a change in the way the cafe culture, the outdoor music culture, at least in New York, there's going to be a shift, I think. I think there's going to be much more openness and embrace of musicians in creative ways being able to, entertain the public.
I think New York during lockdown, this is so weird, but I think New York during its lockdown really had a chance to experience itself, right?
Yes.
Especially with our like smells and sounds, rather than it being a jackhammer and road work. It became more of the restaurants coming outside, and you could smell the bakery and you could start smelling the food and all of the great flavors that the beautiful tapestry of immigrants have brought to this city. But on top of that comes the music as well, and all of our performers, which were mostly resigned to the subways and the parks, if you had a permit to do it even, or you were doing guerrilla style. So, everything else was inside, downstairs. And yeah, I think that was one thing that is a big change that I think the community in general would like to stay. I know I would like to stay, but I know it'd be nice if musicians like you are like, yeah, no, this is the thing. We liked it.
Yeah, I've been here. When I was coming here before I moved here, there was a scene in the East Village. It was a scene, an actual scene down there. And then there was one in Williamsburg later. But I feel like this idea that you just shared about the sensorial experience of a town and embracing of its artists, musicians, it hasn't been so conducive in America, I think. If you look at Europe or some of the other places, I think recently there's been more openness there. But it could be a renaissance period.
I'm looking forward to it. New York was always the haven for creation and inspiration. And I think it's time to return to it again.
I am 100% with you.
Yay!
Gotta happen. Yes.
Well, with that, let's plug and promote you one more time. Tell me about your new projects. Tell me how people can find out more. Where can we see you? Where can we enjoy you?
So thank you. So this writers group got me thinking that I had some material that I had on the shelf. And so one of the reasons I'm a singer-songwriter is a guy named William Moses, who I met 10 years ago. He embraced me as a singer-songwriter. He was the composer and like the musical conductor of the Reverend Billy Choir for Stop Shopping in America.
Okay.
They were a big New York thing about 10, 15 years ago. They would protest Walmart. There was a whole thing against commercialism. And he was a composer. And so he took me on as a singer-songwriter and he produced my work. And I felt like that's the best collaboration I've ever been involved in. It's to this day. And so there's still material sitting on the shelf from his and my work. And I started revisiting it. And ironically, the thematic of the 4 songs, 3 of the 4 songs are about opening or rebirth. And so I started thinking, I'm like, maybe he and I reconnect. We make sure the music represents what we want it to represent musically, the sound. And so I think I'm going to release it as called Opening, because one of the tracks is opening. There's a song called Ganesha, which is in Hindu mythology is the god of removing obstacles, so of new beginnings. So all of these ideas were like, oh, 2021 could be a time of a new opening, a rebirth, So these 4 songs I'm really excited about because they've just been sitting there. He and I have freshened them up, and now I'm going to release them as a new EP called Opening in February. And so there's a woman named Sarah that does all of the artwork for my covers.
Okay.
And so Sarah Giberson, and she's great. She's done all this beautiful artwork for everything I've released. And so she's working on it right now. And we're finalizing the mixes and everything. And then hopefully it'll all come together at the end of the month, and I'll release it in February under Gandhi, my singer-songwriter name. This is like what's percolating up here. This is all the synapses are all like trying to form the picture. But yeah, I would say it's going to be all of that: social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, maybe LinkedIn. And then I'm looking at getting someone to help me with Spotify and YouTube. And then Instagram Live would be the place for me to play. There's a new model that they're testing where you play, and if you have a badge, people can tip you.
Oh, yeah.
Contribute. So that is like happening now, and I'm exploring it. But from a release standpoint, the website gandhisongs.com would be where you could listen to it, get it, whatever. And then everything else on social media.
So let us know, and we'll make sure that our listeners learn more as it comes out.
That's awesome. That's really nice. And I appreciate that. Yeah, Natalie Morales is from Parks and Rec. She directed the movie Plan B. I got to work with her, and that Hulu movie's releasing in February. So I'll let you know.
Fantastic. February, it's coming up soon.
All of it's right around the corner.
Oh,
Valentine's Day. Are you going to have a Valentine's Day special?
I should.
Yeah.
Probably.
Good. I'm tuning in.
Have a lovebird session.
Yeah, why not? You could change the fur behind you could turn into like red fur or yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Very sensual. It's great texture.
That's how the show should open, with your hand.
Just me going like,
yeah. Everyone will know. They'll know.
See, now it's going to open up for this one. There we go. Well as we do in happy hour. When the drink is done, we are feeling good to dance. So would you like to dance with the outro music with me?
I would love it.
Fantastic.